started using it in the services that you offer in a number of different ways. So I'm excited to be a part of this and to kind of walk through the program with you. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I've got, like Shauna said, a brief presentation to go through, and then we can do questions and open it up for a wider conversation. So bear with I scroll through my PowerPoint. It's moving a little slowly. I'll tell you to start off that Vroom was developed by the Bezos Family Foundation, which is the foundational wing of Amazon.com. And it was developed in consultation with the Harvard Center on the Developing Child. And let's just do a brief walkthrough of what Vroom is. So Vroom is, in essence, it's a powerful way to prompt simple, everyday moments of parent-child interaction that fund brain-building activities. It's based on data science and is designed to fit into parents' existing routines, their existing parenting routines. And it consists of more than 1,000 of these brain-building activities and be accessed in a number of ways. The first and foremost way is the free smartphone app called Daily Vroom. It's available on iPhone and Android platforms, and it's entirely free, as well as other free materials that are now available in English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and Vietnamese. You can find all of that on the Vroom webpage, which is joinvroom.org. And I'm very proud to say that it was Oregon in the Early Learning Division and our partners that translated these materials into Chinese, Russian, and Vietnamese, because along with English and Spanish, those are the 5 most spoken languages in the state. So I've got this Vroom activation map here on the screen as well, and that shows sort of the other states that this program is active in. And so along with Oregon, which was the first state to roll it out statewide, we've got Colorado, California, Louisiana, Florida, New Hampshire, as well as a number of other communities. And I just learned that they introduced it in 100 new communities just recently. I just got an update from the Vroom national program there. So this thing is expanding very, very quickly. And we know that through the app, as well as the other hard copy materials that we've distributed, partners, that we've reached more than 100,000 Oregonians with Vroom. And it's on a very small budget, and we're very proud of the activation and engagement that we've been able to do on that small budget and in a very limited amount of time. It's only been going here in Oregon for just about 2 years. How are we sharing this tool? I've got a list here of our 15 Vroom information hubs. And these are partners across the state, a variety of different sorts of organizations that are sharing Vroom in their existing programming, and as well as building partnerships in their communities. So you see we've got some early learning hubs, we've got some ESDs, family resource centers. We've also got a couple of tribal initiatives that are partners, and some Head Start programs. So this isn't the extent of the people that are sharing Vroom in Oregon, but these are our primary partners. And if you have, if looking for Vroom materials, and I'll walk through with you guys in a sec what those look like, these would be the people to contact. They can also help with trainings and presentations on Vroom to your staff and other partners. So these are definitely the community resources that you're going to want to touch base with if you're interested in learning more about Vroom. And you can find them and their contact on our website, which is OregonEarlyLearning.com/Vroom. So there are 15 Vroom information hubs that have been with us for over a year now, and they've been doing really, really great work. So I hand it over to Shauna, and she's going to play a very brief video for everybody on the basics of serve and return action. I know that a lot of you guys will be familiar with this already, but this is really what underpins Vroom. This sort of the baseline concept of why Vroom is effective and what sort of interactions it's encouraging. So once Shauna plays that video, we'll jump into my presentation after that.
Have it all set to play.
The key to forming strong brain architecture is what's known as serve and return interaction with adults. In this developmental game, new neural connections form in the brain as young children instinctively serve through babbling, facial expressions, and gestures, and adults return the serve, receiving in a very directed, meaningful way. It's early in life when a baby coos and the adult interacts and directs the baby's attention to a face or hand. This forms the foundation of brain architecture upon which all
I'll pass the baton back to you, and you'll have to reshare your screen again.
Okay.
Great. It's coming.
All right. Thank you for playing that brief video. I think it's important to sort of emphasize the sort of value of that serve and return back and forth interaction between parent and child for language development, reading and writing skills. These important developmental skills that contribute to that cool amount of development that's happening during those first 5 years. And that serve and return interaction is fundamental to Vroom. And if you've seen any of the activities, any of the Vroom activities, you'll see that they encourage all sorts of back and forth interaction between parent and child. And I spend a lot of my time traveling around the state, meeting with parenting groups, anything from teen parents to migrant parents to incarcerated parents even. And one thing that I've learned is that a lot of parents do not really understand the importance of that back and forth interaction for developing their child's brain. A lot of them think you simply put a child in front of the television and they'll learn most efficiently that way. But what science tells us is that the brain develops most in its most actively and in a healthy sense when you've got a secure attachment and strong back and forth dialogue and interaction between the parent and the child for a number of different reasons. But I want to emphasize why it is that or how Vroom is sharing that sort of back and forth serve and return science. So I got a Vroom example. This is an example of one of the 1,000+ activities that Vroom has. A few things that I want to point out. So first of all, you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner of the activity the age range. So Vroom activities are age appropriate. That was determined by their scientific team, those folks from the Harvard Center on the Developing Child, as well as a number of other neuroscientists. So the activity called His Hair, Her Hair is appropriate for a 2 to 3-year-old. And you see that this activity includes both the activity in green on the left-hand side and then what's called the brainy background, which is sort of the science behind it and the skills that it's building on the right-hand side. So walk through this activity, and then I'll point out a few things that are important for it. So when you're brushing your child's hair, talk to them about how their hair compares to others. Asking questions like, who has hair that's curly like yours? Who has hair that is the same color as yours? And has hair that is the same color as mine. So very on an existing parenting routine of brushing child's hair. The background being back and forth conversations about how your child's hair compares to others helps them pay attention to what they see, to use memory, and to group things into categories, important in the development of vocabulary and math skills. So remember, these activities, they're entirely free. They provide not only tips that are beneficial for the child, but they also provide sort of background information for the parent that they find to be incredibly important. So it's a building activity, not just but for the kid, but also for the parent. And so there's over 1,000 of these activities. You can see how simple this one is to do. They're all like that. They're to be layered onto the parent's existing routine, meaning you don't have to spend any money. You don't have to have crafting supplies or anything like that or fancy toys. You just need to have the existing routines that you already do with your child. These activities build into that. So Vroom has what's called the brain building basics, and those are the different sorts of interactions that these activities encourage. So they encourage things like direct eye contact, asking follow-up questions, taking turns between the parent and the child, and then doing what you can to stretch the conversation. So brain building basics fuse every single one of the Vroom activities and were created to break the science down into actions that can turn any moment into a brain building moment. I would emphasize that every single Vroom activity is written at a 4th grade level, so it's meant to be understood by everybody. So activities are accessible, usable in any given everyday context. They are really a benefit not only for the child but for the parent. So that's one of the Vroom activities looks like. I'll walk through some more later on in the presentation, but that should give you a good idea of sort of how these activities are structured. And again, they're targeted from birth to age 5. And so you'll find activities that are appropriate for any of those different age ranges. Now, I've got some key principles, and I want to walk through these, but also these can be used as talking points when you're discussing Vroom with parents and with the families that you work with. And so first and foremost, Vroom is positive and empowering. So Vroom's message is non-judgmental, not meant to make a parent feel like they're failing or that they're doing the wrong things. It's meant to support parents in what they're already doing right. So as you already have what it takes to be a brain builder. So by building those existing parenting routines, those existing things that they're already doing well, it's meant to be a positive and empowering tool. It doesn't take a stance on things like bottle feeding versus breastfeeding. It's entirely non-judgmental. Coming from the perspective that I do of working for the state government, there can often be some distrust about some sort of government entity or what are you coming in and telling them how to raise their children. I've experienced that. But once you start talking about Vroom and you show the parents how non-judgmental and positive in nature these activities are, that concern definitely dissipates. By showing parents the benefits of what they're doing right, Vroom promotes more frequent interactions that boost a child's brain development. And if I back up for a second, when Vroom first started up in King County, Washington, they did a study with parents to look at the efficacy of this tool. And what they found is that after a certain amount of time of being exposed to Vroom, parents reported an increased understanding of the importance of this first 5 years, as well as increased instances of making direct eye contact with their child and more serve and return interaction. So we know that serve and return is effective, but we're also learning more about the effectiveness of Vroom itself, and a big part of that is the positive and empowering nature of the tool. Vroom aims for attainability as well. So I talked about how these activities are laid onto a parent's existing routine. Therefore, Vroom is achievable within the reality of parents' busy lives and doesn't require extra time or money. This is incredibly important. So like I mentioned, I work a lot with teen parenting groups, migrant parenting groups that don't tend to have a ton of resources. And so to have a free tool like this that through the app they can take with them on the go is incredibly important. And the fact that they already are doing whatever, they already are taking part in the routines that Vroom can be laid onto makes it much more attainable and easy for them to use. So third, Vroom leads with the science. So I mentioned the brain background. Every activity includes the science behind it and the skills that it's building, because we learn very on that it's just as important for parents to know what to do and why they should be doing it, and the why matters. And so sort of the 3 key Vroom principles that I talk about when I'm with parents, that, hey, this is a positive tool. It's not judging anything that you're doing. Being a parent, especially being a first-time parent, is incredibly stressful. So we don't want parents to feel like they're being judged. We are just a support to them. Vroom is attainable. It layers onto their existing routines, and it leads with the science. So the 3 parts or the key principles that I hit on when I'm talking with parents. What is Vroom? So I've talked a little bit about the app. Daily Vroom is what it's called. This is an amazing tool, and quite frankly, the Department of Education does not have the capacity to develop something like this. So we're really happy to partner with the Bezos Family Foundation to roll this tool out. And the app in itself is very user friendly, and you can download it, as I mentioned, on Android or iPhone. You can also download it on their website, which is joinvroom.org. It's entirely free. It downloads in the language that your phone is programmed into, and it uses minimal data. And your information is not shared in any way. We kind of live in the right now where people are a little concerned about what happens to their information online. I can tell you that your information is not shared with anyone, other than the app programmers. And so how it works is really simple. You would download the app, and then you would register your child. And you would the only information you have to give about your child is their name and their date of birth. And then the app actually ages with the child. So if the kid is 1 year old, they'll receive tips that are age appropriate for 1 year old. As they turn 2, those will start to change. So they're age appropriate activities. You can also register more than one kid. So say you're a home visitor that's got a large caseload, or you're a parent that's got 4 or 5 kids, you can register all of them. And you would have access to age-appropriate tips for all of those children. If you don't have any kids, I don't have any children, you can actually invent a kid, and that you have access to the activities in that age range. And then you see in the center icon, there are these small images of different kind of activities. And the way that it works is you've got your child registered, and you would select what you're doing. So you can see you're selecting, you're changing diapers, you're getting dressed, it's snack time, it's play time, you're cleaning up, you're doing laundry, what have you. You would select it, and it would send you a list of activities that are appropriate related to that routine thing you are doing with your child. So it layers onto what the parent is already doing, and it delivers the tip directly to them. You can also say you're on the go, you're at the doctor's office, you're at the bank, and it will send you activities that are appropriate for that. There are other kind of cool features. You can set a daily notification. So if you'd like to receive an activity on your phone when you're driving your kid to work in the morning, or when you're tucking them in for bed, you would select that time, and that tip would arrive with a ding. It goes off with a little alarm. And that's a great one to ensure that you are doing one activity a day. You earn badges as you complete activities, and I've heard a lot of really fun stories about kids getting really excited about earning badges for doing these activities. The activities are also meant to be fun. They're meant to be engaging and really enjoyable for the parents and for the child. A lot of them encourage physical activity. I know that's a concern for educators, as we want to make sure that our kids are being active and moving around and physically, physically active, and these activities allow for that. There's a lot of activities around dancing, around role play, playtime, that sort of thing. One cool story that I experienced was working with a group of teen parents, and there was a young man who was a first-time father in school, also working, so he was incredibly busy, very stressed out about being a dad, and he didn't know how to talk to his kid, and so what he did is he typically just put the child in front of the television. And so I talked with him at this presentation, and I asked him, well, what is he interested in? And he's a drummer. The dad is a drummer. And so I walked through some of the activities that have to do with exchanging rhythms with your kid as a way to recognize patterns, doing call and response. So the point is, there are over 1,000 of these activities. It's very easy to find ones that are appropriate for you and interesting. And so you can go through the whole catalog and find the ones that are best for the situation that you're in. But also you might find some favorites that you go back to time and time again, and that's totally fine. What it does is it encourages that serve and return back and forth interaction between parent and child in an enjoyable way. So that's the Daily Vroom app, and again, it's entirely free, and it's available in English and Spanish, and you're really excited to be using it. There are other tools, so not every parent has access to a smartphone, though smartphone use is getting close to being universal at this point. Not every parent has one. Also, not every parent would like to be on a phone when they're with their kid, and we totally understand that. One thing I would note, though, is that the phone is meant as a prompt. You don't need to be on the phone when you're with your kid. That's not part of the activity. The way that it works is you upload the activity, you read it, you understand it, then you put your face and you start engaging with your kid. So you don't sort of need to be on the phone at the time. But those folks that don't have a phone or they don't want to be on with their kid, we've got these other tools that we've made available. We've got stickers, posters, flyers, and then these really cool tip cards, and you'll see that on the right-hand side. And we've got roughly 30 activities in them that are color-coded by age, and they also include brainy background as well as the tip. And it's very cool to note that if you go to the Vroom website, which is joinvroom.org, again, all of these materials are free for download. And so you would go to their webpage, and there's a link that says materials, and you can go to that page and download and print them. They're high quality in high quality formats, and a lot of them are available in those new languages of Chinese, Russian, and Vietnamese. I'll show you guys in a second how some of our partners have used that resource and use these materials. But again, if you want access to these kinds of tools, there are a number of ways you can do that. You can visit the Vroom website, or you can visit the Early Learning Division webpage, and I'll show that again at the end, and contact your local Vroom Info Hub. They can send you materials. But for instance, the videos that they have, Vroom on their YouTube channel has got all these really great videos showing real families acting out the activities. So it's always nice to have an example of what this could look like. The YouTube page provides that. We have posters in English and Spanish that are great for waiting rooms. They're great for classrooms, for bulletin boards. I would note that every piece of Vroom has a brain-building activity on it. It's not meant to be an ad campaign. So those posters actually have brain-building activities on them. We have Vroom bags that have Vroom brain-building activities on them. Every part of this is meant to sort of stimulate the child and provide a resource and information for parents. So those are hard copy materials. Again, you can download them from the Vroom webpage or go to our website, the Early Learning Division website, and request them from your local Vroom Information Hub. So, guys, a few examples of how Vroom has been shared in the community. I know we have some of our Vroom members and partners on the call, and so some of them will be familiar with this, or some of this will be their actual work. So I can't take credit for any of it, but I'd like to point out some of these really neat examples. So let me start with the Marion and Polk Early Learning Hub, and they are one of our Vroom information hubs. They're a great partner. They have been incredibly active with Vroom, and this quote is from the director, Lisa Harnish, and that is, "Vroom is part of our overall strategy to support and empower parents as their child's first teacher and as a brain builder." So community organizations are incorporating Vroom in a variety of ways. They're putting information in waiting areas, at community events as part of orientation or registration. It is all being included as part of group therapy sessions, home visiting, parent education, and more. So see how simple these Vroom activities are. Hopefully you're giving some thought of, well, maybe this is how we can incorporate it into our own work. But what the Marion and Polk Early Learning Hub has done is taken a very comprehensive approach of layering Vroom into their existing services. I tell you, that is probably the most effective way to do it from an organizational standpoint. Ensures that Vroom is embedded. And once parents are introduced to this tool and they start using it, and I would highly suggest, if you want to introduce it to parents, to actually have a physical, tangible way of doing it. So either you're showing it to them on the app, or you're showing an activity that you've printed off and or the tip cards, what have you. If you can show them one of the activities, that definitely encourages buy-in. And parents will say, well, I'm already doing stuff like this, and it's fantastic. But what Vroom provides is over 1,000 such activities. So that's how Marion and Polk Early Learning Hub has done it. One thing I should mention before I go further is that parents and professionals like yourselves can actually submit activities through the app. So if you have an activity that you do in a class or with your own kids, you can submit them through the app, and then they're considered and vetted by the Vroom app team. And if they like it and they find that it's appropriate and it's scientifically, developmentally sound, they will include it in the list of available activities. So I know a number of our partners have done that, including we have partnerships with WIC, and they submitted a number of tips around nutrition that were then accepted. So this is a living, sort of breathing tool. And for professionals like yourselves, we're always encouraging you to provide feedback and even submit your own tips, because I'm sure you've got a lot of them. So for the parents that tell you, oh, I'm already doing stuff like this, it's great. That's fantastic. This is just an added resource for them. So the Hub of Central Oregon, in partnership with the Family Resource Center, and I know Kim is on the call. Hello, Kim. They developed lesson planning around this. I believe this was for their Head Start program, and they used Vroom as a way to do thematic lessons. So Vroom can be grouped into more than just snack time and meal time and playtime, but they also grouped them for, this was something around the concept of affection. So you could do, if you're doing a lesson for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or Father's Day, really it could be Affection Day, really. You can pull out these sorts of activities. And again, because they're free for download, you can simply print them in the high-quality format, or they've got low-ink format as well, and distribute them in your class, have them on your bulletin boards, put them in your newsletter, on your social media, website, what have you. But these ones are specific to affection. So I want to point out one. It's called Love You. It's right in the center there, and it's for those ages 2 to 3. And the activity is, as you get your child ready for bed, gently touch them on their head, ears, and hands. As you touch each part, tell your child, love your head, love your ears, love your hands, love you. Use a soft voice that helps relax both of you. So really sweet activity, but encourages a number of different sorts of interaction, including affectionate physical contact. The brainy ground being, when your child feels your touch and hears your voice, they're learning new sounds and words that will help them learn to communicate. Children best when they feel safe and secure. Your gentle touch and soft words will help give your child these feelings. So this activity specifically for a lesson around the concept of affection. You can do it for things like letters as well. And so, you know, as parents and as professionals, you guys know that parents have a lot of time to fill with their kids. You're in the line at the grocery store or in the doctor's office, and you're waiting. And a lot of parents are looking for do during that time, and how great it is that you can use it productively to do activities like these. So one that I like is called Find the Bees, and it's definitely appropriate for that sort of situation. So while you're waiting at the doctor's office or drugstore, look around you and try to spot things that start the bee sound. Take turns spotting bees, like babies, bottles, and baskets, and calling out the words to each other. Another one is letter lookout. So you're looking at everything that starts with a B, or an A, a B, a C, a D. It gets a little tough when you get to X and Z, definitely. But this is a great way for parents to use that time to encourage that serve and return interaction, and also build a stronger understanding of the alphabet. So that's just one way that you could use these thematically for lesson planning. This is the Head Start, an early Head Start here in Portland, where I'm based. They used it, you know, on the right you've got an image from one of their parenting fairs. So if you guys are out in the public and you're working with the community at conferences, fairs, I've been to any number of public events. I had one where I was sandwiched between not one but two bouncy castles, and I was handing out materials and information about Vroom, and it's a great resource and a great way to start a conversation with a parent about the importance of serve and return, but also about the other services that you guys are providing. It's an easy conversation starter, and so that's what you see on the right-hand side. They've got those materials that you can request again through your Vroom Information Hub. But they did sort of a basic homework assignment where they asked, you know, parents to talk about the Vroom activities that they completed that week, and then send that back with the child. And you can see that at the bottom they got that tagline of every parent has what it takes to brain builder. So it encourages the idea of you know, pride and empowerment in the parent. Now, this program that has is just getting started right now, and I'm walking you guys through it, but it's really exciting because can be a reach population. And my goal coming in as the Vroom coordinator was to reach as many families that are sort of, the term that we use is furthest from opportunity, but we're talking about those parents that are under the poverty line, that don't have great access to resources, that come from sort of traumatic backgrounds, that sort of thing. That was our goal, and so we're really excited about this project. It's the Coffee Creek Head Start program. And our program is located at the Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, which is in Washington County here in Oregon. And Vroom was used in concert with another program called Circle of Security Parenting, and they're being used as an enrichment of the Head Start curriculum itself. So Vroom can be used in partnership with other programs as well. And Vroom provides a variety of activities promoting mother-child interaction. So this, I should specify that this program is moms only, incarcerated moms, and they and what they do is they use the Vroom activities as well as Circle of Security, which builds the mother's capacity to interpret her child's behavior as expression of emotional needs and respond appropriately. They use both Vroom and Circle of Security during the visits that these children have with their moms. And it's just going now, so I don't have full results of the project, but I've been able to observe some of it. It's absolutely fascinating, and we're getting really positive responses from the parents. It's kind of an extreme environment, and you wouldn't necessarily think of prison visitations as conducive to the sort of serve and return interaction that we're looking for, but these activities are so simple and so general that it has been possible. All this Nurturing Healthy Attachment project pulls together these approaches to collectively promote secure attachment in this highly vulnerable population. So we're really excited about this project that's going on right now. If you have further questions or you're looking for information, the lead on that project, her name is Sherry Alderman, and she used to work, some of you know her, she used to work with the Oregon Health Authority. She's leading that, and I've got her email there if you have any questions. So that's something that's rolling out, but you can see that Vroom is appropriate for all sorts of different populations. Call out something that was done. This was a partnership between the Family Resource Center and the Wellness and Education Board of Central Oregon in their hub there, and the High Desert Museum out in, I believe it's in Bend. And what they did, this is really, really cool, and I know Kim on the line, I told you I'd give you some positive shout-outs, but what they did is they partnered with the museum to do a scavenger hunt based on activities. And so, they were things like you'd have an activity next to a fish tank, and you ask a question like, would you rather be a fish or a bird, and why? That sort of thing. So really simple, fun, engaging activities. And over the course of the visit, the parents and kids would go around to these 15 exhibits, and they would pick up a letter when they completed the activity, and then at the very end, they would fill out this scavenger hunt board, and it spelled out be a brain builder. So that's really, really neat, but it's also a cool instance of a public-private partnership to promote these sorts of brain-building moments with parents and kids. And so we've seen tons of examples like this where our Vroom partners have partnered with local grocery stores to put activities in the checkout line, that sort of thing. And there's just any number of ways that you can use these tools. So that's one example between a Vroom partner and the High Desert Museum. I'm currently working with the Portland Children's Museum on something similar, and the National Vroom Network just did a big rollout at a children's museum in Denver. And so if you go to a children's museum, you'll see tons of activities. There's always stuff around water play, that sort of thing, and you'll find lots of activities around washing hands. It's just a good fit. So this one that we saw, that was a good instance of a public-private partnership. We also have some partnerships around the state. One that I want to talk about today is our partnership with WIC, which is Women, Infant, and Children. And there's a lot of activities around nutrition. So snack time, mealtime, and playtime are the big thrust for WIC. And we worked with them to identify a number of tips that are specific to those activities. And they are then broke them down into tip cards that are specific to those activities and provided them to their staff. We also recently created a WIC in-service training for all of their nutrition specialists. So when they're meeting with families one-on-one, they're meeting with parents one-on-one and giving them advice on nutrition issues, they're actually bringing Vroom activities into the fold. Oregon Health Authority is one of our scientific advisors. We rolled out Vroom to all of the DHS self-sufficiency offices, and we've also partnered with a number of libraries because Vroom is great for read times. So when you're reading, when you've got those groups of reading books to families and kids, they can also incorporate activities before and after that based on language acquisition, learning your letters, some of the stuff I've already talked about. Those are some of our partners, and we've seen that really just takes a little bit of work to get parents to start using the tool, usually introducing it through a one-on-one meeting, through newsletter, sending it out in a care package. A lot of hospital systems around the state include Vroom baby packets, the new baby packets that go out with new moms. If you can just get in the door through trusted messenger, and you guys are definitely trusted messengers, that goes a long way towards starting that conversation. I mentioned WIC used it as part of the nutrition-based counseling. So we developed this training tool that they're now sharing with their national WIC network. But what they did is they just took a lot of Vroom activities around snack time, in meal time, and built that into their offering for parents and those one-on-one conversations that they have with parents. What about this is they use a lot of activities that encourage conversation at mealtime. So for families, that can be incredibly helpful. It gives you prompts on things you can talk about and the brainy background about what that's encouraging in your child. But I've heard lots of stories of families actually using these sorts of activities with their teenagers to get them to talk during mealtime, during dinner time, and maybe even one or two spouses to have a conversation with their significant other. But there's a lot of ways to sort of encourage back and forth interaction around snack time, mealtime, and playtime, and WIC has really taken it and run with it. So guys, share Vroom. There's a number of ways that you can do it, and we've talked about a lot of them, but you can use Vroom to discuss the importance of serve and return interaction with the families you work with. And that's a big part of my job, is not only to promote Vroom, but also to promote the importance and an understanding of the importance of those first 5 years. And Vroom goes a long way towards doing that. So you can use it as a way to start that conversation about serve and return. And I'm sure you guys know this through your work. It's something I've seen that a lot of parents are just not familiar, not necessarily with the concept of serve and return is, because that can be sort of inside baseball, but about the importance of that back and forth interaction and how many different forms that can take. A lot of parents are unaware of that. You can share Vroom and activities with trusted messengers, including parent educators. Hello, everybody. Home visitors and others. So those folks that work directly with families and interact with them directly when they're accessing services are great trusted messengers for spreading the word on Vroom. You can put Vroom activities on your organization's social media platforms, websites, and newsletters. Again, at joinvroom.org, you can download all those activities and just clip them out and post them as you see fit. It's easy to do, and you can use it as part of sort of an ongoing conversation around Vroom and the importance of serve and return. You can partnerships that allow you to reach families where they access parenting services. So I mentioned libraries and hospital systems, but also groups like faith-based organizations, children's fairs, and others. You guys know where families access services, and that touch point is where you want to connect with them on Vroom. And lastly, word of mouth. Talk about Vroom with friends, family, and colleagues. That goes a long way. You guys, I highly encourage you to download the app itself and use it. Get familiar with it. Again, it's totally free and uses minimal data, but get familiar with it so that you can talk about it with friends and family. I've shared it with my friends and family that have young children, and the response has been really positive. So those are ways that you guys can share Vroom. One thing I do want to add is that we have a really exciting new project coming up, and that is that Vroom is going to be rolling out over text message here in Oregon, and we are the first state to do that. In a way, Oregon is leading the charge, but Vroom is going to be rolling out in text over the next few months, and so that will be just another way that we can reach families in that they would opt in for regular daily texts. And I'll tell you, for example, those teen parents, those young parents who communicate a lot through text, and that's how they get information, that's going to be a great resource. Those are some ways that you can share Vroom. Pretty simple stuff, but I hope this training has given you some good examples to work with. And I was hoping that we could, well, first take some questions, but also open it up to a discussion about how you might use these tools in your own work. So, Shauna, if you want to take it away.
Sure. Thanks so much, Ari. That was such a wonderful presentation. There are so many things about Vroom, and I think that can really enhance and add to the menu of what we offer through OPEC as well. Thank you. If you hear the virtual applause coming through, I'm going to turn off the recorder so that we can get into more discussion. So thank you.
Mhm.